Hi, I'd like to take a minute to introduce you to Art 1280 Photoshop software. This video will be as brief as possible. I do understand that sometimes taking an online class is confusing and it's difficult to understand what you should be doing when. So I would like to take a minute to go through everything that is required of you in the first week of the semester, and hopefully that gives you a good foundation to get started. Before I start anything specific, I would like to mention that you should always contact your instructor if you have questions, especially in an online class. Your instructor is doing everything in his or her ability to reply back to your emails as fast as possible. So if your teacher has office hours or online office hours or conferences that they host for your class, attend those. But anytime that you have a question outside of class, never be afraid to email your teacher. So my name is Jessica Curran, and I may or may not be your teacher since lots of people teach Art 1280 Photoshop software. But if I'm your teacher, you can email me either through the Canvas inbox, which I now have forwarded to my Bruin mail, or directly to my Bruin mail, and all that information will be in what I'm about to show you. So first, you need to get started in the class, and if you are viewing this video from an email that was sent to you before the semester started, you may or may not have already gotten into Canvas. So the first obstacle is to log into Canvas, and you can do that in a number of ways. So Salt Lake Community College just switched my page, and it's now my.slcc.edu. You can go into my.slcc.edu. You can click on Canvas. You can go to the Salt Lake Community College website that I have open here, select my SLCC, and then select Canvas. Or I like to just type in the address. So the address to go directly to Canvas is slcc.instructure, instructure.com. And after you type it the first time, if you just type slcc.I, it'll always kind of redirect you on your computer. You're going to log in with your MyPage username and password, and so if you update that mid-semester, your Canvas username and password will also update. And when you log in, you need to find our class, and because you are a student, it should automatically show you our class on what's called the dashboard. And if you don't see our class, you can click on the My Courses tab and you can look for our class. And if it's still not there, you can hit All Courses, and it should show you all of the courses that you're currently enrolled in, and probably past enrollment. So you can see that I teach a lot of classes. So you're seeing that there's lots of choices for me. So I've actually cleaned up what I see, and I've only put current classes on the dashboard. So I'm going to jump into the dev section, which is where I develop the class before I give it to you guys, but it will look the same. And when I log in, you should notice that there are 6 checkpoints, which are also called modules. So technically, these gray bars that you see are called modules in Canvas, and that really doesn't matter to you as a student. It just matters to me as the instructor. But what we have done, the folks that developed the Photoshop class, is we have broken the class into 6 different checkpoints or goals, and each checkpoint is kind of set up the same except for checkpoint 1. So briefly, I want to talk about checkpoints 2 through 6 right now, but I want to focus on checkpoint 1 after I'm done. So if we expand and look at checkpoint 2, you will see that it starts off with learning objectives, and I'm going to right click and open this in a new window just so that I can come back to this page and show you. And each checkpoint starts off with learning objectives. So checkpoints 2 through 6 are your actual Photoshop curriculum. And you can see that we're going to sync up to the chapters in the book, and we're going to follow them chronologically because I think it's just easiest to follow along that way. And you can see what our objectives are for chapters 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. And chapters 1 through 6 are checkpoint 2. Now, if you go back to the main home tab of Canvas when you're in the class, you'll see that if we go down, we're going to start the section on chapter 1, and it will have a reading assignment, a lecture, and in this case, a knowledge test. So the benefit of using the modules is that if you click on the first item in the module, and then you scroll to the bottom, there will be a next button, and you can just hit next and next and next, and it will go all the way through the items in the module. So the second item is a reading assignment, and I have embedded your textbook in the class, so you should not have to purchase a textbook unless you really want a physical textbook. And so the next activity says read chapter 1 in your book, and if you click on it, it'll open up in a new window. Now I've already logged in, but if you're not on campus, it will ask you for your MyPage username and I believe your PIN. Your PIN is the last 4 digits of your phone number, and if you're having issues logging into Safari Books Online, you need to call the SLCC Help Desk at 801-957-5555, and they should be able to help you figure out what that PIN is. Now, the textbook is free, so there's kind of pros and cons to that. But the pro is that it's free and it's there and it gets updated and you don't have to worry about it. And another pro is that I can send you to a very specific place on in the chapter to read. Now, for our class, I really want you to read the whole chapter, so you'll come down and see that color management has like 8 different sections. If you have the book, it's only a few pages in the book. You can hit the little arrow bar on the right-hand side, or you can come to the bottom and you can arrow through, or you can even click these table of contents tabs over here on the left-hand side, and then you can read through the chapter. Once you're done, you can come back to Canvas and hit next, and it will walk you through the activities. Now, each chapter has a formal lecture, a reading assignment, a series of demo videos, and or a series of adobe.com videos. So there's going to be some combination of those 4 things for every chapter, but don't be freaked out if you get to a chapter and there's no formal lecture, or don't be freaked out if you get to a chapter and there's no series of demo videos. So if we look at chapter 1, there's nothing that's labeled as a demo video, but if we scroll down to chapter 3, we have the chapter 3 demo videos down here. That's okay. Some chapters require physical demonstrations and others require knowledge-based learning. So you're going to have a combination of all of those. But everything that you need to succeed in each chapter is presented to you in the appropriate format. So for chapter 1, that means there is a formal lecture. The lectures are posted on Google Drive, which means that you can download them and you can save them to your Google Drive, which I recommend submitting your coursework through Google Drive and kind of getting used to using that. You can look at them through Canvas if you want. You can click through the slideshow. You can choose File, and you can download, and you can save a copy as a PowerPoint, and you can print a series of slides. So even if you're taking this class maybe on campus instead of online, you could print these and bring them to class before your teacher does their lecture on chapter 1 so that you have a copy of that. When you're done, you can move on to the next item in the module by hitting next, or you could come back to the home tab and you could say, I just did the lecture, so now I have to do the knowledge test. If there were more things like a demo video or recorded lectures or linked adobe.com videos, you would click through those before getting to the knowledge test. The last thing I want to say about checkpoints 2 through 6 before I get started, well, there's actually 2 things, is that the knowledge tests come directly from your reading, and you are required to read the chapter. So if you are skipping over the reading and doing the lecture, you are going to get about 90% of the information you need to get 100% on that knowledge test, but you should be reading the chapter, so make sure you go back and read the chapter to get that supplemental information. Knowledge tests are not timed and they're open book, and you get 2 attempts. So they're not meant to negatively impact your grade. They're meant for you to be able to say, oh, they're asking me a question on such and such a topic, it must be important, and then you can go and you can look up that topic in addition to doing all the other activities. The second and the last thing I want to talk about regarding checkpoints is that you'll notice there is a pattern. You have checkpoint 1 and you have all the information you need, and then a knowledge test, and checkpoint 2 and the same idea, knowledge test, and checkpoint 3 and a knowledge test, but there's no skills yet. If you go all the way down to the bottom of a checkpoint, it will close or it will finish up with a skills test and an exam. So the skills test is going to directly reflect your ability to perform the tasks that were either demonstrated in the videos or they were described in the textbook. They are going to be skills-based for the most part, with some creativity pulled in. So make sure that you are technically sound on what you submit. And then your checkpoint exam is basically your knowledge tests, but instead of being open note and multiple attempt, they are timed and you must know the material before you take them. So it's kind of like practicing throughout the chapters, and then when you get to the end, I or your teacher is going to test you on the skills and the knowledge that you learned in the book. One of the biggest things that we emphasize in Art 1280 about Photoshop is that it's not just doing cool stuff. You should know the knowledge part of Photoshop too. Why does something work? How does it work? What are the technical requirements required to make this output properly for printing or screen printing or web design or a digital video and that kind of stuff. Okay, when we come back in the next video, I'm going to talk all about checkpoint 1 in detail.